Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Fintech Ki Baat Dil Se. Today we have with us Mr. Vaibhav Joshi, founder of Easypay. Easypay is a company that enables distribution of financial services across India, right? The idea is to make financial services available to all the sectors of the society and create financial equality. Vaibhav, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure having you here and thank you so much for your time.
It's a pleasure to be here, Shreyas.
Thank you. So Vaibhav is currently, I think, an ex-banker, has worked with reputable banks like Yes Bank. He was also a chief digital officer at Equitas Bank before he kind of got into the startup ecosystem. And if I'm not wrong, Vaibhav, you were also a startup founder before your banking career as well. So seems like a really interesting career journey that you had. Over to you. Would love to hear from you on right from the start. Over to you.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Shreyas. Thanks for that introduction. Yes, indeed. So before my banking journey, I was a startup founder. So I think this is Easypay. I'm being a part of third or fourth startup.
Wow.
Yeah. But the startup that I'm doing today and the startup that I had done before, there is a difference between that because I've been through the grind of, good 8 years in the banking industry.
Mm-hmm.
At a certain level, understanding the nuances of banking, understanding, the limitations of banking. And
Mm-hmm.
then coming on to, create a fintech, I think it gives a very different flavor. It gives a very different angle aspect to it. Uh,
Definitely.
of course, it does. I also feel, Shreyas, that it does try to bring in certain limitations because you do come with a standard legacy thought process that bankers do come in with. But what has helped me probably is my earlier avatar of doing two more startups before the banking. That's really what has helped me.
Mm-hmm.
So the previous startup that I did prior to Easypay, I think it was a good 10 years back. It was a
Okay.
food startup. It was known as the Good Food People.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a very new concept and cloud kitchen concept on a corporate cafeteria outsourcing model.
Wow.
And,
I think that was just the beginning of cloud kitchens back then, right? Probably
yes, yes, yes,
right at
yes.
the start.
Right at the start, right there at the beginning.
So, are
So
you a foodie?
I am. Indeed, I am.
Amazing, amazing. So, what was the concept like? What was the idea of getting into the food tech industry?
Can you come again, Shreyas? I lost you there.
Sorry. Yeah. So, what was the idea of getting into the food tech industry? Like, what was the concept that you kind of started with?
Did you say food industry or fintech industry?
Food tech, right? It was
Food
food
tech,
tech.
yeah, food tech industry. So idea was very simple. For a long time, me and
Mm-hmm.
my wife, we were trying to do something. We were thinking of trying to do something in the food space, and
Mm-hmm.
then an opportunity came where like everything, all the blocks, Lego blocks fell into place. And
Mm-hmm.
by the way, the company still runs today, Shreyas.
Oh, wow.
The Good Food People, the startup that we started, still runs today. The avatar has slightly changed now.
Uh-huh.
While I'm completely out of it, and I generally only get involved at the ideation level or the strategic level sometimes, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
company that, it's a startup that my wife is completely running now. Uh, uh, we wanted to solve a very particular problem then, Shreyas, which was
Mm-hmm.
access to quality and uh, I won't say affordable, but still affordable food uh, at the corporate level for masses. Okay, so the
Mm-hmm.
idea stemmed from the fact that when I was actually working at corporates earlier, uh,
Right.
how Bombay is.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it's the hustle. You get out of the house at 8:30 in the morning. You are back at 9 p.m. at night, and access to simple home cooked style food is very difficult. That's actually what stemmed that idea.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
But then the we had taken it to a slightly different level at that point in time.
Mm-hmm. No,
And
sounds. Yeah, yeah. Sorry,
yeah,
please go.
and yeah, completing your question, the prior startup before to that, that was in 2005. So that was a tech startup, by the way. So I ran it
Okay.
for 3 years, uh, and that was pure tech-enabled solutions for e-governance, for healthcare, and for education.
Okay. So, I mean, from tech. to food industry to banking and now into fintech and services distribution. I mean, if I take this in parallel with what a typical Indian family kind of advice is gives as a career advice to their kids is like एक चीज पकड़ो उसमें मास्टर बनो और पूरी जिंदगी वो करते रहो. So how does this kind of a parallel sit with? I mean, obviously I've seen a few people do this and succeed, and I think you are one of the prime examples of that. But how do you manage this? Right, industry changes like. If I talk to any HR today, like if I ever interview or if I talk to an HR, आपने तो payments में किया है, आप lending में क्यों आ रहे हो? अरे भाई finance के अंदर they ask these questions, right? I mean, I'm sure many candidates have experienced this kind of questions coming from recruiters and everyone. So, bearing that, how do you like manage these jumps across industry, and how does your mindset kind of change over the time over this?
So let me put it this way, Shreyas. What is life? It's not a variety of things. When we खाना खाते हैं, right? रोज दाल चावल खाएंगे तो मजा आएगा क्या?
Agreed.
You do need, that variety. But having said that, that was on the lighter side. So what has happened is, while I started my career in tech, okay, and for the longest time, I was working on the tech side. The core always used to be solutioning, okay. Always being a techie. While I was a techie, very early in my career, I actually moved on to the business side of things. And the idea was, what is the core problem that I'm trying to solve? And my solutions would actually be created surrounding that particular problem. Let me give you examples of, couple of projects that will give you context of what I'm trying to say. So I think this was around 2007 sometime, and we were engaged with the government of Bihar to create a solution so there were a lot of issues happening there was a scheme known as Manrega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act.
Right.
The idea was to provide 100 days of guaranteed employment to labor who is sitting at home. But and government was pumping in funds from the central side, and the problem was there was no way to monitor that. So for a year, we worked with the government to create a solution, to design a solution, and then the government came out with an RFP. Fortunately, our company ended up getting that, and we created an end-to-end solution affecting close to what now 4.5 crore beneficiaries. Okay, so as a part of that solution, this is pre-Aadhaar, by the way. As a part of the solution, we did enrollment of 2.5 crore beneficiaries. Then the 4 plus 2 plus 2. We did their registration. We created an ERP, we set up a data center, we had a BC network of 1500 BCs across the length and breadth of Bihar, tied up with Central Bank of India, opened 2.5 crore no-frills bank account, the work planning, etc., etc., etc. Whatever you see the Narega soft today, pre-Narega soft, we did that completely, like end-to-end project, okay? And it was a humongous project, like it was a company in itself. But look at the one problem that we were trying to solve. The problem we were trying to solve, Shreyas, was at that point in time, how do we make sure that guy gets 100 days of employment and he gets paid at the end of the week?
Exactly.
We created a bank in a box and all those kind of things. It was like a suitcase. जिसके अंदर was a device, जो आज हम micro ATM बोलते थे. The device would have been the size of this packet at that time.
Okay. And this is back in 2007, pre-Aadhaar.
2008 onwards. And the project went so successful that 2009 in Nalanda, where we were doing this, where we went live, we had a visit from Mr. Nilekan and Mr. Sharma themselves.
Wow.
They saw this and they were like, hey, this is exactly what UIDAI wants to do. And that project, by the way, then got enrolled as a POC for Aadhaar.
Oh, okay. Wow, interesting.
So the thought process, Shreyas, has always been, you take up a problem, you create a solution around that problem. So I feel that thought process is industry agnostic, whether it's tech, whether it's food, whether it's banking, or whether it's fintech.
Right.
As far as you have the DNA of, picking up a problem, solving the problem, which is going to have a scale mass effect. Those things are industry agnostic. I think that is something, those are characteristics, nothing to do with domain.
Got it, got it. So, एक question आता है, I mean, and this is kind of off tangent, right? So, you have worked across industries, right? From tech, building for that particular problem statement of, creating an auditable process that allows the employment and the payment at the end of it. From that into food tech to banking and to fintech. So, is there, like, for someone like me, I essentially envisage my career to be something on similar lines, right? I don't want to be like कि पूरी जिंदगी एक ही इंडस्ट्री में काम किया and you came out of that industry and बाकी किसी चीज की हवा नहीं है. So it needs to be like across multiple things. That, as you said, there needs to be some variety. So what do you center your what do you essentially center your career growth on? Like, do you have a point that kind of repeats या कुछ एक pattern होता है जो repeat होता है even if the industry changes?
I used to at a point in time in my life way earlier. Now I don't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But what I used to do earlier, Shreyas, was very clearly I used to make sure that, in the beginning of the career, I was like, okay, I want to pursue, a particular type of role. And when I decided to get into the solutioning side, I was told that, you are a pre-sales person.
Right.
I said, but pre-sales is just not what I do. I do a lot more. And yes, I was told you are a pre-sales plus salesperson. And I said, but that is not what I do. Then I was told, okay, you are a business person. Beach mein somebody told me you are a solution architect. Okay, somebody said you are a business consultant. Now these are just the branches that get out. Finally, at the end of the day, what happens is, as far as we are clear that, हम क्या कर रहे हैं? Are we creating a solution? Is that solution making an impact? Is that solution resulting in business? If yes, how is the P&L that I am operating? Do I have enough revenue lines? Do I have a good stickiness strategy for my customer? Do I have a good go-to-market? Okay, what is the tech I am using? At a broader level, eventually, as you grow in your career, you have a holistic knowledge of the product piece, you have holistic knowledge of the, broader knowledge of the tech piece. If you are a non-techie, you have a holistic knowledge of, now growth. That's a new that has come in for the past 6-7 years. Digital, again, a new field that has started some 9 years back. So you start getting all these things. But otherwise, at the end of the day, we all individuals end up doing the same thing. It is the way we do that thing changes, the way we see those things changes, and that is why our purview increases. The horizon broadens up.
Got it. No, I think definitely that helps me put a lot of things in place because personally, now having worked, let's say I would say when I started in bank as a sales guy, then went into consulting for startups, then with Avishant ran a few accelerators, an investment piece, and then now at NPCI, and before that also in Science. I think every time I've always kind of faced one single question, right? That you, as you rightly said, I was not able to put clearly into picture. What role do you see yourself in? I'm like, यार ये सब मैं कर लेता हूँ. You put me here, I'll do that well. If you put me here, I'll do that well. तुम business में डालो, तुम pre-sales में डालो, तुम solution में डालो. I'll do all of that, and I like to do all of that. So how will you kind of typecast this kind of a person, right? That always was a challenge when it came to me. But I think that this what do you say kind of helps me put that into a better picture. Having said that, let's kind of shift gears and talk a bit more about Easypay, right? So first of all, before we get into what Easypay does, would want to understand what kind of made you think like you were in Equitas Bank, if I'm not wrong, and you were at a CXO level. You were the CDO over there. So what made you switch from that to becoming a founder in a startup? Like, what triggered the change?
Shreyas, can you excuse me for 10 seconds?
Sure. No worries. So I'll just repeat the question once more. So before we start talking about Easypay, right? You were working in Equitas Bank as a CDO. So what kind of inspired that change from, again, like a cushy corporate job to getting into the startup industry and getting into the life of, I would say, multiples of which essentially would be in multiples of hustles.
See, when you're working for a bank, and not just during my tenure at Equitas, while we did a lot of things at Equitas, even my larger tenure at Yes Bank, Okay, what happens is when you're working with a bank, you're trying to solve a problem. You create products. You create products that are going to impact masses.
Right.
Now, banks have their own set of limitations in terms of their distribution, in terms of their compliance, in terms of uh, the risk-taking ability, so on and so forth. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When we were creating when I was part of the team that used to create these products, and when we saw that, really to make an impact to the last mile, being within the banking setup, there are
Right.
so many interdependencies. Okay. And
Mhm.
eventually, banks as an institution will only be able to take these products or these solutions to a certain level and to take it to the next level, which is really the last mile, with the evolving digital era, with the evolving consumer mindset, and with the, evolving newer methods that are coming in the market. There has to be entity over and above the bank, okay, as the next level, as the next layer, who is going to take it to the next level. Okay.
Right.
This is when I said that, hey, within banking, I'm always going to have a certain limitation. And how do I overpower that limitation? And the only way to do it is go on the other side of the table, take the button. Okay, when you do a 4x100 relay, Shreyas, the first part is important, the second part is important, passing the button is important, and the last part is the most important.
Agreed.
And all the four players have to make sure, all the four runners have to do their part. Okay, so I was in an earlier avatar, and now I have moved into a different avatar. I've taken the button, and now I'm trying to, try the solution to the scale.
Got it. More like the last mile execution of it is something that now excites you.
Last mile execution, technology. See, now to a greater extent, the banking products are standardized, have been standardized. There will be innovations that will keep on happening, but we talk about payments, you talk about liabilities, you talk about assets. The type of push that RBI Innovation Hub or NPCI has been putting, the type of new thought process and the regulations that are coming in. I think fairly, we know for the next 5 years, next 10 years where the industry is going.
Right.
The need of the hour today is to take that base product, okay, and create a wow product on top of that. Okay, bring in a lot of new tech, AI, ML, analytics, digital distribution, put in a lot of very specific consumer specific flavors to it, and then do a go to market. Okay.
Got it. No, definitely does make sense. So when you, let's say when you decided to join Easypay, what was essentially the problem statement that Easypay is trying to solve for?
Very good question. Thanks for that, Shreyas. So actually a year back, so let me give you a brief background of Easypay. Easypay was started by a very close friend of mine, Nilay.
Okay.
Me and Nilay used to be the students together in Sydney, year 2000.
Oh.
We used to play snooker together there. So we know each other. And Easypay has worked with Vaibhav in Vaibhav's previous avatar at Yes Bank as well as at Equitas, where I onboarded Easypay as a tech platform provider for multiple solutions. Having said that, Nilay had reached a level where he had achieved a certain level that he wanted to achieve from Easypay.
Right.
And then, Shreyas, I think there is somebody at the door. You will have to again excuse me. I'm so sorry. There is nobody.
No worries. Yes.
Yeah. So, Shreyas, then the idea was that, when me and Nilay met a year back, we were ideating. So Nilay had reached a certain level where he had taken Easypay across to the length and breadth of the country to a certain number of merchants, and he had achieved his goal of, enabling payments through Easypay for the set of merchants and their customers.
Got it.
Then what happened is we were ideating what next. And see, payments as a business is always a foot in the door. Okay.
Right.
As a business is not a business where you make revenue, or you kind of are solving a certain set of problem other than that of consumer and that of merchant, which is making a payment, receiving a payment.
It's more about engagement.
It's more about engagement, exactly.
Right.
And I had recently launched NeoX, and NeoX my tenure with Equitas, and we had sold, I think, 1 million merchants in the first 7 to 9 months,
Wow.
1 million consumers in the first 7 to 9 months. And we were, why don't we look at becoming a MSME focused fintech, where instead of just empowering the MSMEs the way everyone is doing to accept payments, we say that, hey, what are your banking problems? What are your issues? And we'll take care of it. So what we did is we did a primary survey. We spoke to 150,000 agents, our merchants, and we started understanding the primary issue. Now, Shreyas, the primary issue was access to clean, simple, low-cost credit. Okay.
Right. Agreed.
These are the micro and small enterprises. 90% of them, operate their business through a savings account, not through a current account. A lot of them are not having access to banking through current account because it doesn't have a feature like a corporate internet banking or a mobile banking. In fact, very recently, the smaller micro segment category of bank accounts have got those features. So that's why I said that, look, their banking needs to be solved. Their payables and receivables needs to be structured, and then basis that, and access to formal credit needs to be given to them.
Agreed.
You are not going to believe during one of the reviews, one of the primary research, one merchant told us, सर लोन लेने में बहुत दिक्कत होती है. हम जब जाते हैं साहूकार के पास, लोन तो मिल जाता है, लेकिन वो बीवी को बुलाता है और उनसे शपथ दिलवाता है वीडियो पे. मैं शपथ लेती हूँ, अगर मेरे पति ने लोन वापस नहीं किया तो मैं अपने गहने बेच के, and all those things happen.
Oh God.
It happens. Yes, okay. While we say that financial inclusion has reached our last mile, these are the ground realities.
Right.
So, and the problem is most of this are new to credit. आपके पास, मेरे पास सिबिल है. These guys, because of the type of the business they do, सारा कैश में धंधा करते हैं, maybe 50% UPI से आता है. Okay, they are still new to credit, NTC -1, and they don't get access to, So we said that, boss, this is the problem that is apt. We have to solve this problem. There are 70 million MSMEs in India. 99% of them are micro, and we picked it up. We started creating a solution. That's when I said that, okay, bye banking. I've got my problem, and I took the jump. That's where we are today.
Awesome. So, problem to samajh gaya, I think lack of credit, and specifically in the micro SME sector, which is probably one majority of the business owners. When you go down to tier 2, tier 3, they can be either classified as that, right? And credit is probably one of the major problems that these guys have. But what kind of solution do you think will create the biggest impact? Like, what is the immediate need? And एक तो होता है कि एक stop gap solution है, right? And then there is something that kind of solves it for over a longer period of time. That is a sustainable solution. So how do you look at it when you look at it from an Easypay perspective?
So there are two things, Shreyas. The financial profile of the merchant has to be upgraded. उसको वो लेवल पे लेके ही आना पड़ेगा जहाँ पे he will have simple access to formal credit at an affordable rate.
Got it.
Till the time we don't do that, he is going to still struggle. So, and the second thing is, while we do that process, while we embark on the process of doing that, we still need to give him access to products in a formal manner, which may be slightly at a higher cost, but then the moment he starts servicing them, we help him build his profiling. The products also need to be extremely customized, Shreyas, because what happens is, we all saw the impact of COVID. Overnight, सबके businesses बंद हो गए, overnight expenses होने लग गए. So the products also have to be structured in a manner where a part of them can be cash flow dependent, a part of them can be based on their business requirements, all unsecured I'm talking about. But then the repayment mechanisms have to be such that रोज का उसके पास से कुछ ले लो, the way a microfinance works.
EDI, yes.
EDI, exactly. So that actually also helps these merchants. And then आज उसने 25,000 का लोन लिया, उसका तीसरा लोन I can guarantee you 50,000 का होगा, उसका छठा लोन I can guarantee you 1.5 lakh का होगा.
Got it.
That is how you help him slowly step. And then in 18 months time, he's already arrived. then he's arrived in the boss. He's like, अब मुझे किसी के ऊपर डिपेंडेंसी की जरूरत नहीं है.
समझ गए. But when you talk about the first step, right, creating the first financial profile of this kind of merchant, how do you do that? Like, how do you break them through that initial membrane into the formal financial ecosystem?
So generally what happens is, that is why having the right partners, right lenders is extremely important. So so we identify, so we have a set of close to 10-15 lenders with whom we partner with. Okay. Actually, we will also explore at some point in time getting an NBFC license of our own. But having said that, the idea would be, and the idea is that how we are able to curate products. Generally lending में क्या होता है श्रेयस, there is a credit policy that there are credit underwriting parameters, credit risk parameters, so on and so forth. तो हम लोग क्या करते हैं ना कि हम लोग we help the merchant, and this is all done digitally, by the way, completely end to end digitally. I open a current account in under 5 minutes digitally, and I disburse a loan in 2 hours digitally, by the way.
Current account end to end digitally?
End to end digitally, yes.
For MSME?
Yes, we have just gone live last week.
That is unheard of. That is actually unheard of.
So we went live last week, and we are migrating all our merchants onto that. So idea that is the core. See,
right.
Look at payments is an engagement product. But आज उसका problem क्या है merchant का? Problem ये है कि वो savings account से काम करता है, because he works on a savings account. उसको बैंक business loan देता नहीं है. So I am opening his current account from within the Easypay app. I am helping him with his payables and receivables. And then I am packaging a credit product for him. But जब मैं first credit product देता हूँ उसको, I make sure that the dependency is not on the current account. That is how I curate the policies. Right.
No, interesting. I mean, the current account वाला जो piece है, this is something that I heard for the first time. Savings account को तो we all know, a lot of people do it. Current account maybe for individuals it was happening as far as I knew. But when it comes to this, there was always a last mile reach out that was needed from the bank's agent. कि 48 hours में एक बंदा आएगा आपके डोर स्टेप पे वेरीफाई करेगा फिर होगा.
नहीं तो अभी there are processes, the products are there. In fact, both individual current account and proprietorship current account is something that I had been ideating during my Equitas days of rendering them completely digitally, and that was also one of the important cog in the wheel of me deciding of shifting on the other side, moving out of
definitely. No, definitely. I think with you at the helm, I'm sure you've been able to solve this beautifully. Looking forward, एक बार ये चालू हो जाए, I would definitely like to experience this as well.
Absolutely. I would love to give you a demo or onboard you as a merchant for that matter. We can onboard Fintech ki baat as a merchant.
More than happy. So, coming back to this tier, this essentially the merchant micro SME segment. Credit तो एक segment हो गया उनका, but when you look at it from a holistic perspective, financial ecosystem में इन लोग का step in the door होता ही नहीं है. As of now, you would see credit is one thing, insurance is one thing, and lot of other awareness is also one of the major problems that I've seen, right? कि कैसे क्या होता है financial industry में. So are you like from an Easypay perspective, how are you kind of solving for that, or are you addressing that?
So, first of all, we are a digital-only organization, and we have 0 feet on street, unlike a lot of companies into the market who have a few thousand feet on street. So that way, we are extremely asset-light. And majority of the focus, Shreyas, in terms of awareness is extremely curated content, extremely targeted approach. Okay. Try to understand the profile of my customer. Okay, मैं जब ये micro small enterprise की बात करता हूँ, typically a guy who opens his shop 6 in the morning, closes at around 11-12 at night, पूरा जद्दोजहद करता है, पूरी जिंदगी जद्दोजहद करता है, अकेला होता है, घर वाले भी उसको परेशान करते हैं, wife is like you don't give me time, children are you never give us time.
Right.
He has to make sure that he has to provide for everyone, and he has to धंधा बंद नहीं कर सकता एक दिन के लिए भी, शादी में जाना है तो भी उसको दिक्कत है, दुकान बंद करके जाएगा. He's a very सिकड़ा हुआ guy. So and still okay, he uses the smartphone. He's a smartphone savvy consumer. He spends close to maybe 2 to 3 hours a day on social media, YouTube. Okay, वो पता है दुनिया में क्या चल रहा है. He keeps on educating himself. Very extremely street smart guy, and I think that guy is far more street smarter than what I would be or you would be, because he has to juggle with so many millions of things in his day-to-day life. Okay, now how do you understand this problem and how do you solve this problem within the comfort of his, a phone maybe, or within the comfort of his time? तो उसको क्या चाहिए उसको पता है.
Mm-hmm.
How to focus a lot on capacity building. The moment I am able to give him some relevant content, he picks it up at the right place, he picks it up, he understands, and then he connects with us.
Got it.
Our strategy has been extremely clear on that. So let me give you a case in point. We got, Jackie Shroff as our brand ambassador.
Okay? Right, I saw.
And, when Jackie says, "Hey, Bidu," and we had a few ads aired with Jackie and very targeted. And everyone is like, "Arey, I can resonate with this guy." Okay? समझ में आता है.
Right.
For a brief time, we had that Easy Chacha, the Chacha Chaudhary wala. So Easy Chacha is our mascot. People were like, what is he trying to say? And then when he comes and says that tuck, 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 very simply, okay. A lot of times what happens is people actually provide overload of information, and that is where things start falling between the crack, trying to do so many things. Just 5 minutes back, I think you said there is insurance, there is wealth, there is payments, there is banking.
Right.
There are so many things that are happening. As a fintech, most fintechs are domain specific, they are TG specific, and that is why they want to curate all these products. Okay, I'm saying, boss, what is your problem? तुम्हारा problem है access to credit, मैं तुम्हें वो दूंगा. If I have to use current account as an instrument to take you there, that's fine, I'll do that.
Right.
If I have to use payments as an instrument to get into your store, I'll do that. But at the end of the day, I will make sure I give you plain, simple, clean, affordable credit access within the comfort of your mobile phone, in a manner where it can get disbursed in 2 to 3 hours.
Got it. So definitely, I think that does make sense for this segment. And only thing that kind of really threw me off a bit, or probably the first time that I've ever heard happening in this segment, is a completely digital approach. Because everyone else that I've spoken to, they would rather boast about. I would if I were to put it that way, कि हमारे 40,000 feet on street है, हमारे 10,000 feet on street है. We have daily interactions with our customers. Vis-a-vis a completely digital approach for this segment is completely probably of industry first, if I may say it, if I'm not wrong, right?
It is an industry first, yes. It also stems from the fact that, look, I have been a banker in my previous avatar. I have seen the brick and mortar setup very, very closely. I was the chief digital officer. I understand that banks actually work towards creating products, and the distribution of those products are carried out by those feet on street which are there. फर्क इतना है कि बैंक का जो सर्विस मैनेजर है और the sales representative of a brand is probably earning maybe 1.5x of what a fintech ka service representative feet on street may be earning. I'm talking about that last mile feet on street, okay? But then what is different that you are doing? If you are going to have 40,000 feet on street or 20,000 feet on street in the market, what is it that you are doing differently from a traditional bank or a NBFC? Okay. Do you think Google would have been Google if it would have, so many feet on street to go and teach every business that google.com ऐसे खोलिए, google.com में ऐसे type कीजिए? No, right?
Right.
That's how it is. You have to be digital, you have to be agile, you have to be scalable. And scalability cannot come if you keep on increasing your infrastructure, physical infrastructure.
Agreed. No, definitely. I think I do resonate with that. One question that comes to mind is, given this specific segment, what has been the most difficult problem statement to solve, or I would say, what has been the most difficult part of solving for this segment as such?
So sometimes adoption becomes a challenge, because at the end of the day, what happens is, that factor of trust, TRUST. So what we have learned is that, creating that brand and establishing that trust becomes extremely important for them to pick up. Okay. Now this segment is also something which is, which relies a lot on hearsay, which relies a lot on word of mouth. But at the same time, this segment is also a segment which is ready to experiment. So they will start at a 50% trust level with you. And that is where providing a seamless experience is extremely important. Okay. जहाँ पे मैंने थोड़े से प्रोसेस में गड़बड़ कर दिया and he goes on a back foot. I've lost a customer over there.
True.
End-to-end seamless experience where he gets the comfort. Oh wow, he gets the wow factor, and then delivery of that first product in a manner where he is able to services on its own and continuous communication. It works wonders, Shreyas. It works wonders.
Definitely.
Finally, and the whole thesis of doing, I like to call it the Amazon experience. Okay, because every time I book something on Amazon and I want to refund it, it's a wow experience for me.
Right.
So if I want to give an Amazon experience to a segment of users who are predominantly 80% in tier 2 and below,
right,
I will have to at least give him that comfort that kuch problem hua to main hu.
Bilkul.
So that communication becomes extremely critical.
No, agreed. I think that creating that trust level and making them believe कि कुछ हो गया तो there is this person, because normally the habit that this specific segment, and I think in India majority of us at one point of time had is कि अगर कुछ problem होता है, especially when money is involved, we need someone to talk to or we need to go somewhere and किसी का गला पकड़ने के लिए कोई चाहिए basically, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So that kind of becomes probably the problem statement that I think you said, right? It will take time, but अगर वो एक बार build हो गया, then it will create wonders.
Absolutely. And that is where, we try to think like banks. We have a dedicated team of digitally empowered relationship managers.
Achha.
Who actually are available. Okay. And then there is, of course, a variety of tech that comes into play. And nowadays, I think, majority of your issues, majority of your concerns get sorted out by tech itself. There is such enhancements that have happened in, information bot, conversational bots, and so on. That the combination of AI, ML, a lot of this gets sorted there and there itself, and you have a happy customer at the end of the day.
Got it. I think you kind of took the answer from my next question. I was about to just pose, how do you see this specific segment, solutioning for this specific segment evolving over a period of time? Let's say next 3 years or so.
So next 3 years, what is going to happen is I think there is going to be consolidation of products. Organizations, fintechs will have to come together and start offering a breed of cross-sell products to their customers.
Right.
And where, that platform agnosticism would come. From a tech perspective, I think we are there. We have seen, OpenAI, ChatGPT, how it's going forward, and the idea over there is how can that particular thing build into our product? Is it possible? Okay, we scale it to that level. Can the products that I'm rendering to my customers scale it to that level?
Right.
If you want to try ChatGPT, okay, Shreyas, you can easily start a question. You will get a response to that.
Yes.
Do you think something like that, a tool like that, will be available to a consumer of mine who is sitting in Bharat in the next 1.5 years? I think he probably has access to it. And it's just a matter of, another 60 days where he will be like, "Acha, ye kya hai? Main try karta hu." And the moment he starts getting it in vernacular language, okay, he'll be way ahead of where we are on that particular thing. So on the tech side,
definitely.
Things keep on evolving, the technology will keep on improving, the acquisition, the engagement, the servicing, there has to be enhancements, there has to be stickiness around it. But what is important is cross-pollination of relevant products coming together to service that customer. The moment a fintech realizes that मैं सब कुछ नहीं करना चाहता, मैं सब कुछ नहीं करूँगा.
Got it.
Start collaborating for relevant products. I think that's where the industry is going. I will not give you वो ज्ञान वाली बातें कि machine learning में ये होने वाला है, blockchain आएगा. Those things are going to happen. Okay,
yes.
That's tech, and we will all adopt to that tech.
Perfect. I think we are also kind of running out of time. I'll just pose my last 2 questions very quickly. So this one quick question on the emerging tech side, right? Which emerging technology are you excited about from the perspective of this segment that you're working on?
So if I have to give one word, It is
Yes.
artificial intelligence.
Got it.
Artificial intelligence, I personally feel, has the type of power that no other technology has.
True.
Has the power to replace human beings at some point in time, and it can happen in our lifetime, Shreyas. So I feel AI
Definitely.
is one such tech which supersedes everything. It supersedes metaverse, it supersedes blockchain, it supersedes all the rest of the things.
Agreed. I think it will probably become an underlying tech on all the emerging major, what do you say, all the major emerging technologies. Definitely. Okay, this brings me to the last part of the podcast, which are, and I like to earlier, these are not last two questions, there are last four questions, and it's a rapid fire round, one word answers. Okay. Just keep it short, just one word, no time to think. First question essentially is, what time do you wake up? So I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs say, "मैं 5 बजे उठता हूँ." Someone says, "I wake up at 4." So yeah, what is your time?
7:30.
Okay, that's still doable. I can't understand people who kind of wake up at 4 because मेरा तो 2 बजे सोना होता है. Anyways, one favorite book of yours?
One favorite book of mine.
Yes, that you would recommend.
I have so many favorites, but 0 to 1.
0 to 1. Who's the author?
0 to 1, Peter Thiel.
Peter Thiel. What's your favorite way to disconnect from work?
Netflix.
What is it that you're binging currently?
So currently I'm not on Netflix, I'm on Prime Watch, but but generally nowadays you don't get time. So once in 5 days, if you're able to do it, on the weekend is when I try to catch up. Weekdays becomes difficult.
Definitely. All right, and one last final, I promise this is not a lie. One last question. Do's and don'ts for any budding entrepreneurs who want to, take the leap.
See, it's always entrepreneurship it has to come from inside. Just because somebody is doing, don't try to do it. Number one. Number two, if you are trying to build a startup, then take a problem statement, solve that problem statement, keeping the consumer in the mind. Okay. Forget about revenue, forget about everything else. If you have the right solution for that problem statement, your startup is going to succeed. Connect with the consumer, solve a problem for the consumer. There are corporations, there are financial institutions who create products.
Right.
Solve a problem for the consumer. The whole idea of a startup or a fintech is, to make sure that one problem gets solved. And the moment you have solved that problem and the consumer is with you, then whatever you want to cross-sell, you will be able to cross-sell and make monies from them.
Definitely.
From a don'ts perspective, I think, take risk. So if people say, take limited risk, नहीं ऐसा नहीं है. Risk नहीं लेंगे तो solution भी नहीं मिलेगा. Risk नहीं लेंगे तो आगे भी नहीं बढ़ेंगे. So take risks. Just be within the regulatory framework. That is very critical.
Right.
Understand the regulations before you embark on these journeys. So if needed, there are good people in the industry who can help you with compliance risk on a consultancy basis. Do that. Take their services. Definitely.
I think that's about it. It was a brilliant session, and thanks again once more for your time. It was really a pleasure having you here, and it was really an enriching conversation. Thank you so much, Vaibhav.
Thank you so much, Shreyas. Bye-bye.